So these videos were all recorded by mini drones. One of them was less than $200, one of them was just over $300, and the other one, well, a lot closer to $700. Stay tuned, we're gonna break down these mini drones and others and figure out what is the best drone for you. What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Halfchrome, and today I want to talk about some of these smaller mini drones. There's a lot of really good options out there. There are some that start at less than $200, and they make their way all the way up close to $700, and there's a really big difference in between. So which one is the best for you? We're going to talk about 3 drones specifically at 3 different price points that I think are the best 3 options. Depending on who you are, what your needs are, and your budget, I'm going to help you find the right drone. Stay tuned. So drones have gotten pretty darn small, and there's a category of drones that a lot of people refer to as mini drones, and they are drones about this size, and the thing that sets them apart is they're less than 250 grams. That's about half of a pound. Now that's an important number because if your drone weighs less than 250 grams, you don't have to register it with the FAA. But that's not the biggest deal if you ask me. The most important thing is these drones are not subject to remote ID. Remote ID is a law that's coming into effect in September where all drones must basically emit a digital license plate that anybody can see. Now you can avoid all of that hassle if your drone weighs less than 250 grams. And the good news is there are a lot of drones that really can do a lot of things that those bigger drones can do. These cameras, the modes, the things on these, really getting pretty darn impressive. Now I have flown a ton of these things from the really bad to the really good. So I want to give you these recommendations. I've flown them all. There are a lot of different options on Amazon for about $300, and there's really only one that you should consider, and that's the Mini 2 SE. All those Contexos, Holy Stones, they're fine. They're basically glorified toys. Now Xiaomi, Hubsan, Exo, they all had their hand at making mini drones, as did Autel, and they're okay. They're actually pretty darn good, but in terms of price point for what you get, I would throw all of those out the window as well. Now DJI is the undisputed king of drones, and they've made a ton of different mini drone options. You have the Mini 1, the Mini SE, the Mini 2, the Mini 2 SE, the Mini 3, the Mini 3 Pro, so many different options, and actually you can pretty much disregard most of them. The Mini 2 SE, I think, is the best value. I'll tell you about that in a second. And the Mini 3 Pro is absolutely hands down the best mini drone you can get. So to keep things simple, let's narrow down. There are 3 options I think you should consider. One of them is this. This is the Cfly Faith Mini, and this drone is less than $200. I've seen it on sale for about $180. I think normally it's $189. It, like basically all the others, is a small foldable drone. And it does have a 3-axis gimbal. That means it's going to stabilize your footage. Now, some of these inexpensive drones under $200, under $300 even, a lot of times don't have a 3-axis gimbal, so you're going to get shaky footage. That's going to smooth it out. Now, you're going to have to fly slow and smooth to get the best footage out of this drone, but it is an excellent beginner drone and definitely the best option under $200. It's an 8 megapixel camera, and it does shoot 4K, but only at 15 frames a second. That's super choppy. It'll do 2.7K at 25 frames a second. I wish it was 30 frames a second or higher, but it isn't. It does have a handful of intelligent flight modes. It will follow the remote. It does return to home, orbit, helix, fun things like that. Now you get a flight time of about 25-26 minutes. That's what it's rated for. Usually you get about 75% of that. Now the video isn't the best, right? It's good. It's fine. It's great for a beginner, but the 8 megapixel camera, the really small sensor, and the bitrate on this thing is 25 megabits per second. The megabits, that's one of the more important specs. A lot of people look at the 4K and like, oh, it's 4K. The megabits is kind of the amount of information, amount of detail that you're gonna get in that video image. All said, this is a great option, less than $200, great drone for beginners. Now the next drone I think you should consider is the DJI Mini 2 SE, not the Mini 2 and actually not the Mini 3. Hear me out. I think the Mini 2 SE is the best value drone in terms of what you're getting. Now the camera on the Mini 2 SE is a ton better than something like the Cfly. It's darn near professional quality. Now it doesn't shoot 4K. For some people that's a big deal, but you know, unless you're a pro, 2.7K or even 1080p, that's full HD, definitely good enough. The camera on the Mini 2 SE is better than something like the Cfly. And you can take a look at some of these images and videos coming out of the drone, just really crisp and really clear, and absolutely gonna be good enough for the weekend warrior. You're gonna get a flight time of up to 31 minutes and a range of 6.2 miles. You do have all the DJI quick shots, but because it doesn't have obstacle avoidance, it's not gonna have that follow me feature or that active track that some people are looking for. But the Mini 2 SE is a great option at just over $300. I think it's right now $340. And absolutely, if you want something with crisp and clear images, save up for that. Now at $450 or $470, you can go from the Mini 2 SE to the Mini 2. The only difference really from the Mini 2 SE to the Mini 2 is slightly higher bitrate and a 4K option. Again, I don't think it's worth it. It's just not quite good enough for $100. The Mini 3, however, you get a better camera, a larger sensor, but I still probably wouldn't recommend it. I don't think the quality is that much better than the Mini 2 SE that it's worth upgrading to. I think what you should do is hold off for the Mini 3 Pro. Now the Mini 3 Pro here is spectacular. I love this thing. I think this, not only is it good enough for most people, it's really good enough to use for professionals. The sensor on this thing is bigger. It's so quiet, it has an awesome flight time. You can get an extended battery that gives this thing up to 47 minutes of flight time. You have the O3 video transmission system, which is, I think, 12,000 meters or over 7 miles of range. This thing is awesome and the camera is great. Now, this is the first one that's going to get you some obstacle avoidance. And with the obstacle avoidance, you get active track. So you can follow subjects and do some really cool things. I have a buddy, he bought the DJI Mini 3 and then he found out there was no active track, there was no obstacle avoidance, he crashed. And also it doesn't have master shots, and master shots is a great way to capture a whole bunch of dynamic footage really easily. You select a subject, you tell it to go, and it's gonna fly a bunch of really unique and different patterns focusing in on that subject, and then it'll edit the video for you, or you can edit it yourself. The Mini 3 Pro is fantastic as a mini drone, but it's also the most expensive, starting out just under $700. And then there are packages that get you, close to $1,000 or even over if you're buying a bunch of different batteries. So, something to consider. Obviously, the best one's going to cost the most. Unfortunately, a lot of times that's just the way it works, but a definite option if you're thinking about getting into these drones. Now, I did some footage of the 3 drones I recommend in similar places, and we'll kind of take a look at that. You kind of decide for yourself which one of these do you think would be best for you. You got to keep in mind your budget and your purpose, right? Are you just having fun, or do you need something that's, near professional grade quality? Before I get into some of the footage from the drones I'm talking about, I just want to show some footage from a lesser drone. Now, this drone actually has a 2-axis gimbal. It's a ZLL mini drone. You can just see that it's shaky, and some drones don't even have that. These drones, at a minimum, you're going to want some of the 3-axis gimbal, and they all have it. Now here we're looking at the Cfly drone first, 2.7K, 25 frames per second. Pretty decent color. It doesn't quite have the dynamic range. It's definitely not going to do as well in lower light situations. And it doesn't do quite as well, especially in windy situations, but it's a solid beginner option. Now this is the Mini 2 SE.
and it's just way more stable, easier to fly. You get a little bit more dynamic range. It's easier to use, but even that, it can't really hold a candle to the Mini 3 Pro. And this is the Mini 3 Pro. You know, you get a better camera, a bigger sensor, a better image. It's a lot more stable. I love having the extra flight modes and the obstacle avoidance. It's a really solid option. And as an added bonus, you can get the DJI RC that has the built-in screen, which I absolutely love. Now, none of these can actually hold a candle to, say, the DJI Mavic 3. And that one, it's really awesome. Is it necessary for most people? No, but where it shines is in lower light situations. You're not going to have the noise in the image that you would with some of those other drones. And another thing to consider, another drone option to think about is the DJI Avata. So if you're looking for more dynamic shots, I use it a lot in chase scenes and things.
I hope this was helpful. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.